Alright, so over the past few months I've been doing the Ubisoft Game Challenge, and quite honestly, if I have to play one more game of theirs, I'm gonna go insane. So today I decided to switch it up and get every single trophy in something new, being the Alan Wake 2 DLC that just came out June 8th, and also it was given to me by the legends over at Epic Games. And I want to say huge thanks to Epic Games for sponsoring this video. So as we all know, Alan Wake 2 is one of the best games made in the past few years, and that's just not even a debate. It got nominated for numerous awards at the Game Awards 2023, and also took home the awards for Best Narrative, Game, and Art Direction, so yeah. It's a banger. Now, I made a video on Alan Wake the original quite a while ago and I absolutely loved it, which is why today was an absolute joy to get to make this video. The Night Springs DLC is gotten from the deluxe version of Alan Wake 2 and has a grand total of 12 unique trophies inside, making this game's trophy list even more gigantic, yet obtainable. There is 3 chapters that the trophies are gotten throughout and are separated by chapter, making it even more easy for you to just enjoy the game and not lose your mind while playing it. Chapter 1 surrounds the waitress who is historically obsessed with the writer, or as we call him, Alan Wake. Also, every chapter in the game is set in the Night Springs TV-like universe, so it's not exactly real life or has realistic elements in terms of people's reactions to things, but you'll see what I mean soon. 4 trophies are obtained through this first chapter, and each chapter has 4 to themselves. Get it? Because 4 times 3 is 12, and there's 12 trophies in the DLC total. I see what you did, Remedy. So the first chapter opens up initially with this guy talking to us, setting up some plot points for the story to begin with. He touches on the word fan and also gives us a little literature lesson, which made me feel smart, I'm not gonna lie. We then got sent right on into Night Springs to begin the #1 fan story, and we see the waitress herself narrating her own life and day, much like I'm narrating this video right now. It's all simulation, run. She also imagines Alan Wake being right behind her, and we got to see him show up. Kinda creepy, but also kinda cool. We then just got to begin our 9 to 5 like all the hardworking citizens of the New World do, so I attended to my loyal customers by giving them a bunch of coffee, which is a very big part of this game, and I'm wondering which stockholder loves coffee so much. But the patrons of the diner also talked about my website for Alan Wake and how I'm his #1 fan. So I guess small towns truly do know each other because everyone wouldn't shut up about it. That is, except for this man right here. Instead of talking about coffee, we just stare deeply into each other's eyes. Blinking has beef with this man. I then did more of the 9 to 5 and collected some dirty dishes, but as I was setting them off at the kitchen window, a man grabbed my attention and asked for a book recommendation. So me, being the super fan I am, headed to the back to grab some of the writer's best works and spread the word of our savior to others. As I was grabbing one of the books though, this talking fish began to speak with Alan Wake's voice and told me he is under distress and needs his #1 fan to save him. The plot thickens, and I headed to the back room to grab some of our accessories, as they call them. Turns out the accessories were just loads of guns, and after I grabbed all of them I could, I got my first trophy of the game for being fully locked and loaded. We then headed off to save Alan Wake from his perilous fate and got a standing ovation. Hell, we got a damn parade out of town as we are now set off on our own journey. So we kicked down the door to the boatyard, which is the shortcut through the town as they told me, and inside the yard was a man who looked just like Alan Wake, except it wasn't him, just his evil brother. His evil brother then explained to us that Alan is, in his opinion, a complete jerk and he has him hostage. Then he also jump scared us with a wolf, and I sadly got legitimately scared by that, and I'm not gonna lie. And obviously that was followed with a combat section, and I'm not gonna lie, I spent quite a few minutes here trying to farm these haters around each other and around an explosive so I could try to get the triple kill trophy with an explosion. And it did indeed prove to be a bit hard because they don't really follow you super tightly and they kind of let others do the work when you're a bit too far away. But eventually I did get it, and the explosion radius was actually a lot bigger than I expected, so that trophy wasn't too bad at all. I then fought my way through more enemies, and a big enemy ended up crashing through the fence at one point, so that was definitely something. In fact, I think that fence damaged him more than I did because the guy wasn't hard to defeat at all. We then had to follow the flaming bike trail through the woods trying to track down Alan's brother again. On the way, we of course just killed enemies throughout the path. I also made it to some date spot and listened to Alan's voice through a message he left, which is now 2 times we have heard his voice, and we need 1 more for the trophy from 3 times. Anyways, we found Alan's brother down by some cabins beachfront, and he just complained more about how Alan is selfish and more narcissistic things. We also sort of did a little therapy session with Alan Wake's brother, and I love how nobody is questioning what's going on around us, and we just resort to comforting the insane man pretty much. much. I'm definitely gonna need my fair wage after this game. I'm starting to feel like a damn therapist myself. But then we got jump scared by another wolf and more fighting ensued. After all the fighting though, a magical deer in the woods shows up and speaks to us through Alan's voice. Yup, this is totally normal and no questions should be asked because this is actually the third time you need to hear Alan's voice for this trophy pop, and I won't ask any more questions. There was then a big ol' fight with Alan's brother, who was also a werewolf by the way, and it was actually quite challenging because he also throws hearts at us which do a lot of damage and are very annoying. The fight did last pretty long in addition to it being very cool to do in general. I think it lasted like at least 3 minutes, which is a new home course record if you know what I mean. But once we finally take out his wolf spirits and him, he just relaxes and we have a heart-to-heart where we tell him that he is worthy of love and that his jealousy of his brother is just self-hatred in its purest form. But aside from the heartwarming comments, he also tells us that Alan is currently being sieged by haters trying to kill him. So we have to be swift if we want to save the guy. Should have led with that. Goddamn, we're wasting time here, brother. I then stormed Alan's mansion and fought off haters like it was nobody's business. Man, what I would do for a girl to want me this bad for real. And I can't tell you what really happened while in this mansion fighting enemies because it's a mystery, and you're gonna have to get the expansion yourself to find out that mystery. That was also the end of the first chapter in a trophy pop in addition. The next chapter then took place with Alan Wake's sister, but basically we were just trying to find Alan at this place called Coffee World because Alan Wake loves coffee if you couldn't tell by now. You first have to do a little puzzle to open the door to get in though, and thankfully they outlined the code very clearly because I'm an idiot and wouldn't have found that without it. I then walked around Coffee World until stumbling into a safe zone and got a trophy for that. However, that trophy is actually a part of the main game's trophy list, so we can now just throw it away. But Sheriff here tells us that Coffee World is pretty much overrun with evil things and also gave us a gun and a flashlight to help us not die while as we explore. I then spent like 15 minutes just walking around finding stashes to open and exploring the whole area because you need to find 6 stashes for this trophy right here. Which also, just so you're aware, if you die and some of these get reset, that's completely fine because it will still count them. And the trophy itself also shows the counter for it on the list, which I love. Most games don't have this feature and it's honestly very simple to do, and it makes the overall experience so much easier and better. I then made it to the coffee warehouse, which is where Alan supposedly is, but to get inside you have to first go watch the Dark Triangle Coffee Company orientation video. And while you watch it, you also get a tad bit hypnotized by these succulent coffee beans, but a little hypnosis is always good, so we ended up being completely fine. Sadly, the door wouldn't open still, and now we have to go find what temperature the coffee in the game is made at. Turns out it's cooked up with a whopping 487 degrees Fahrenheit, and you had to actually do some big boy math problems here to find it out. I also totally did not guess. Totally not. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like way more than needed, but shit, there ain't gonna be no parasites left in it after. In fact, with a temperature that high, we might be adding them in ourselves. Oh yeah, I also got a trophy for finding out that info, by the way. The door also made me drink the coffee, which is supposedly dangerous. However, I was completely fine because main character plot armor. Let's fucking go. We finally made it inside the warehouse and got immediately confronted with some evil coffee enemy. Inside the warehouse, there is a grand total of 2 of these guys, by the way, who if you get seen by will just chase you down and consume you into the darkness like Nikocado Avocado. There was also a missable trophy here for making it into the office without dying 2 times or more. I, however, did not figure that out and did indeed die twice. Also, I thought if I quickly closed the game, it wouldn't count my death. However, once I finished the level, I would find out that that does indeed count it. So yeah, once you made it into the office, it was pretty much it for the chapter, ending off with some more mystery that I can't show because it's a mystery, and this game is also a mystery and stuff. But yeah, there's the second chapter's trophy. I then replayed the entire chapter again, speedrun style, to make it back to the missable part I failed on, and the key to the office was literally just to the right of the entrance in the warehouse, so I don't know how I failed that bad. And I did it the right way this time, getting that trophy in addition. So now it's time for the final chapter, Chapter 3. This chapter surrounds the sheriff this time, and we are a part of a movie surrounding some multiverse. And it turns out the multiverse is actually real because this evil guy named The Door comes in and kills one of our other realities character right in front of us in the backstage room. I, however, completely ignored that because blood is yucky, and I just read the script for the movie, getting a trophy from doing that. We then got sent into another multiverse and are just in a forest. So of course, since we have no clue where we are, we get to now try and find a way out of said universe. This place is also the same universe as that first girl's story was in, I'm pretty sure. If not, it just looks very similar, so I might just be completely making that up, who knows. And after finding this very not obvious glowing cube, and then using its power on the TV, we teleport to another unknown universe. Except this time, I got a trophy for being lost, so it wasn't a complete L. There was then quite a few cool and somewhat confusing puzzles here in this new universe. universe. This is because each door you take opens up either the same area or a different one. Pretty cool if I do say so for myself. There was also, in addition to a cool atmosphere, a little puzzle that you had to solve in relation to the order of the doors to take, so you can make it to the right rooms and not die every single time. And also, I got a tad bit scared here when the enemies just showed up to kill me. But eventually we made it out again and ended up in comic book universe this time, laying out more lore for us with what's happening. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll be bad at explaining it. So you guys should actually just buy the game for yourself because it's a lot of fun and I'm not very good at explaining things, so you probably understand it better. But the next universe we land in is in a video game world this time, which was a lot of fun. And not only because it was super simple and I didn't die, definitely not because of that, but it had a very neat retro feel, which was obviously the point, and the developers nailed it, I can't lie. Anyways, once we made it past all the enemies, a trophy popped for surviving the video game world. We then reached the final universe, and it's the one where the villain Dora resides in. You first have to wander around and then get to battle a ton of enemies inside the universe as a big ol' final battle. It's also full of those things that power and allow multiverse travel. But once we reached the TV in this world, it sent us off into the very first world ever, a world of words. We then get lore about what's happening for quite some time, and my reading level finally went over a third grader's. You also got to choose a lot of directions for the story and numerous dialogue choices here, which all hint more and more at what's happening and why all of this has happened in general. The chapter then ends with yet again more mysterious things that I can't tell you about because it's a secret. And don't we all just love secrets? And there is the final DLC trophy. So yeah, that was the Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC. I absolutely love the Alan Wake universe. Everything from the combat to the storytelling is simply amazing. There isn't a lot of games out there that mix up mystery with horror so well, yet also make it fun and not overwhelming to the point where it's too scary to play and still enjoy yourself doing it. I highly recommend you guys not only get this game for the main story, but also the DLC expansion. And you guys can play this brand new content for yourself by upgrading to the deluxe edition of Alan Wake 2 to have access to expansion content using my link in the description. Once more, huge thanks to Epic Games for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you all in Night Springs.